All right, so I'm making a video. I got this Hammond AO 41, AO 42, and AO 43 tube chassis, and the spring reverb out of the L100. And then I've got the switches laying on the floor. I watched a video of a guy on YouTube, and that's how I derived how to, tie in. I'm picking up my guitar input through the percussion amplifier. At any rate, I'm wondering if I might be able to make that an overdrive channel, like either clean or overdrive, so that I could pick that up. I want to try to keep the vibrato and the reverb from the Hammond good. It's making a lot of noise, humming. The filter capacitors and all that are original to the chassis and stuff, and I'm sure there's stuff to be sorted out in there. I want to see that's got the expression paddle, which I think I can make an extension cord for that and build a box around it out of some of the lumber that came from the original cabinet from the organ, which I'm going to build a box. I've got a bottom built, and I've got, the old speaker material, and I've got, wood that I, squared up and cut with a thought of mine. I think that's proposed to be the top and sides of this cabinet, which I'm trying to refine it and make it as, less tall than it is, and maybe a little less deep, which I think I'll be able to at least maybe trim a couple of inches off of the depth of it, because it's pretty depth. I know a lot of people build amps off just the AO43, I guess that's the reverb and the main amplifier thing or whatever, and yes, they get a smaller kind of head out of it, but I fiddled around with this thing, and I said, well, guys, if I could change the vibrato and reverb controls where I could, turn them off and on with foot switches, and then have some controls on the front of this, maybe like a head type unit, and then I've got the black piece of trim sitting there behind those switches and everything that says, Hammond there in the middle. I'm gonna cut that to width and make it, hopefully I'm gonna mount it in a fashion that will be something that I could use for, controls. I'll put the factory toggle on and off, and the factory light and stuff, on the right side of that panel once I get the length and everything right. And then over on the left side, maybe, my input for like a guitar, and then, whatever sort of thing I have over there, which if I could have something, the vibrato, I don't know, that looks like a bunch of, I don't know, it's like a RCA rig. Let me see. Well, it's a rig that goes into the back of your vibrato amp, and then another rig that is, oh yeah, the two blue colored RCAs there for the vibrato chorus or whatever. But with it being the way it's switched, I wonder if I can negate that stuff and have dials on the front of a control panel, and have, I don't know, what would it be, vibrato speed, intensity, something, blah, blah, something like that, and then make it a switchable channel where I can switch it off and on, from a paddle. And then much the same thing with the reverb. It's got reverb 1, reverb 2, the volume soft, that's just junk, it's got to go. But now the reverb, I wonder if I can make a foot control switch that I could turn that off and on, and then use some kind of, potentiometer as opposed to that resistor multi-switching rig, to have a control in the front of that. Maybe a wet dry mix and something about whatever reverb, when you dial it up on your amp, I don't know what that does to reverb. I guess it makes it more there. I don't know. At any rate, whatever will be conventional, more guitarish, if you will. Yeah, and I try to use the expression paddle, which a guy had asked me specifically about the vibrato circuit or whatever, which I'm just going to set this down right here, I guess, but I'm going to turn on, which you got, this is all the switching off the organ itself. Vibrato normal, vibrato small, vibrato chorus, which you can turn them all three on, which I didn't care much for that. But here's a vibrato normal. And then I'm going to switch to vibrato small. Take the normal off, go to small. think vibrato chorus and vibrato normal on at the same time as the one that I kind of cared for. Of course, it's got to be getting loud. What's going on there? It's not what I was expecting. Well, I guess vibrato chorus is out of the mix. I'm having a problem with the amp. Time to cut it off.